Welcome to the Micheaux Mission. 2 men, 1 podcast, every black film ever made. My name is Vincent Williams, and I'm joined as always by my partner.
Hey, holla at your boy. This is Len, a.k.a. the Bat Tribble.
And here, the second week of Afrofuturism on the Micheaux Mission, an Afrofuturist month that we call Octavia April. We are going to spend some time with a film that in many ways is a foundational brick of Afrofuturist culture. 1974, Space is the Place. Inspired by the music and philosophy of Sun Ra, co-written by Sun Ra, and starring Sun Ra as
Sun Ra.
Sun Ra. Space is the Place is an 85-minute Afrofuturist science fiction film where Sun Ra, the space-age prophet, lands his spaceship in Oakland, having been presumed lost in space for a few years. This was the choice of Lynn Webb. But before we get into space and find out if it is indeed the place. How are you, Lynn?
I'm doing very fine. How about you?
Oh, well, very well.
And shout out to each and every one of you who are watching us as we stream via restream from the Video Content Factory, Philadelphia's premier video podcast place, pavilion, palace, if you will. It's actually feeling like a palace today, Vincent, because as you can see, we have the new set is coming along. It's like 9,000 steps further along, like we said it would be.
Moving right along.
We have Terry and Dylan, our regularly scheduled producers, here in the building tonight, ladies and gentlemen. So that's why things will be running a lot smoother.
Okay.
A lot smoother. We got, Bert and Ernie last week weren't really...
Right.
They weren't up to the task.
Right. But God bless them. They meant well.
Did they? You be the judge. Anyway, but tonight we are going to be talking about Space is the Place, which is actually a film that has been scheduled 2 other times on the mission, Vincent.
Oh.
But things just got in the way and
things happen. Life.
We were never able to get to it. Exactly. But so we're really excited to finally get the opportunity to review this. But before we do, Vincent and I wanted to extend a huge thanks to the host of the Black Guy Who Tips podcast, Rod and Karen.
Yes.
We just recorded an episode with them just last night, actually.
Just last night, yeah.
And it was a whole lot of fun. It was buckets of fun, man. Talking about the class of 1989, our new miniseries podcast. That episode of their podcast will be up in the coming weeks for you to enjoy, and we definitely have reached out to them about being on our show sometime down the road as well.
Yeah, great time, and great. They had great energy,
dude,
great fans.
They had great fans.
Yeah.
I mean, we love our missionaries.
Hey.
Our missionaries are tops.
Absolutely.
But I
suspect there may be some overlap.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
They've got a huge fan base. They were there in the chat and enjoying the show, it looked like. But you were talking about their energy. Mm-hmm. And they both have great energy. And Rod and Karen, who are a married couple, doing the show. They're married, but they also have a camaraderie that comes through in their show. I think, which speaks to their success.
Sure.
But I think the other thing that speaks to their success, and I don't know if you noticed this, Vincent, but I certainly did. I couldn't take my eyes off of it, was that Karen on the Black Guy Who Tips podcast may have the whitest teeth in America. Her smile just literally blinded me the entire episode.
Okay.
And she was one of those women. I don't know if you have them in your family. I certainly do in my family. My sister Leslie is one of these women who, before they talk, they smile.
Okay.
And they smile for like a couple of seconds, so it'll be like, yes, this is what I think. And that's how my sister is.
Okay.
And that's how Karen does. So it would be this big, huge, fantastic smile just holding there. And she's waiting for a moment to say her line. And she's, yeah, and then another thing. And I was just sitting there, just thrilled at that. I was enjoying it. I know that it makes absolutely no sense to you.
Look, man.
I know,
Look,
you're just a host.
I just try. Look, you get to talking and shit goes left. And I just ride it out. Oftentimes I'll just ride it out.
I appreciate.
Like I'll wait for the moment to like interject some type of rhetorical filler. Wow, that's crazy. Really? And then I just, this is live, folks. This is 100% live.
Okay.
But we had a great time.
We did.
Enjoyed it. Thank you so much for having us. We look forward to you all being guests here on the Micheaux Mission.
Most definitely. And when you do, the Micheaux Mission Hour Set, which is definitely still a work in progress, but it's looking really fabulous right now. Really fabulous. But I won't know whether or not it truly looks fabulous, Vincent, until I get home.
Okay.
Because the last few weeks, I have received on a weekly basis a full-blown, almost written report.
Notes
On our entire show.
The entire show. Okay.
From my friend Donna.
Okay, Donna.
Who I love dearly.
Thank you, Donna.
I love Donna. She just celebrated her birthday.
Happy birthday, Donna.
Last weekend. But last week's show, which, was produced by Bert and Ernie.
Yes.
When the studio was in its very primordial stage.
We are in transition.
Did not stop Donna from having copious notes.
Well,
The main one of which was that apparently the lamp that was to your right.
Yes, my lamp.
Right. Last week was slightly askew.
Yes.
Was slanted. And the lamp that was to my left.
Yes.
The seam was showing.
The seam was showing.
And it looked like there was something under my seat.
Okay.
And she couldn't take her eyes
off
it.
Donna has an eye for detail.
And very, very much.
I appreciate that.
So I made sure when I came in today to make sure that this lamp
wasn't
properly
right.
And that's a whole new lamp.
It's a brand new lamp that is different than that lamp. Is that going to be an issue? Is that going to affect the symmetry?
I hadn't thought about that.
Apparently you didn't. See, I didn't know. Donna, this is, again, folks, I just do the best I can. I really do. I really do. I try not to have a big meal before I come. I end up using the bathroom right before we start because I like to stay hydrated, but I just kind of, because I didn't know about these notes and Donna's attention to symmetry. If you would have shared them with me before, I don't know. Here's the thought. The camera was on. I would have said, well, is it a problem that the lamps don't match?
Yeah, you've made a point.
Thank you, Donna.
Thank you.
For your attention and for joining us here on the Micheaux Mission.
Okay. Well, with that, I'm going to try and turn things around with Donna by moving directly into the rest of the show.
Rest of the show.
Which means
all right.
I will now touch upon the top 5.
The top 5.
All right.
It's still up.
Top 5, ladies and gentlemen, where I come up with a list and I present it to Vince, and Vince will have commentary on this one.
Yes, absolutely.
It won't just be some rhetorical statement.
Wow, that's crazy.
Okay, please do better on the top 5.
Wow, that's crazy.
Oh, God. God.
You know the bad thing about it? It's become such a cliche that people say, wow, that's crazy, and that's code for I'm not really listening.
Right.
I'm just trying to move it along. That now, sometimes you hear something crazy, and you actually want to say, wow, that's crazy. But you don't want people to think that you weren't paying attention.
Yes.
So, irony. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, in honor of tonight's movie,
Space is a place.
Space is the Place. My top 5, speaking about black people
Black people.
in space.
Black
outer
people in space.
Places.
Yes.
My top 5 are top 5 space ain't the place.
Space ain't the place.
It ain't the place.
Okay.
Not in the regards to these 5 properties.
These 5 examples where space was not the place.
Was not the place.
Right.
All right.
And as African American viewers, we were saying at some point, well, what was your ass doing out there?
Exactly. So, starting with number 5.
Number 5, space ain't the place.
The Adventures of Pluto Nash. Now, for those who don't remember, this was a 2002, that's already 20 years old.
Yikes.
A 2002 American science fiction action comedy film directed by Ron Underwood that starred Eddie Murphy
Eddie Murphy.
in a dual role alongside Randy Quaid.
Spoiler. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't.
You shouldn't watch this.
It really
Go ahead.
Alongside Randy Quaid, Rosario Dawson, Joe Pantoliano, Jay Moore, Luis Guzman, Peter Boyle.
Yes, Peter Boyle sure wasn't that.
John Cleese,
Yeah, that's right.
and Pam Grier
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
in The Adventures of Pluto Nash, which
yeah.
was a critical and box office bomb.
Yeah.
It's considered one of the biggest bombs of all time.
Yeah.
I still contend that this film, which it has Eddie Murphy, I think is it like a settlement on the moon or Mars? It's out in space.
It's in
like
space.
the city in space.
Yeah, it's a space city.
Yeah, Space City. It has the vibe to me of that they were trying to do like a back in the day 30s, 40s, 50s Flash Gordon, Buck Rogers.
Sure, like the serials.
Right.
Yeah.
And that was the vibe that I thought they were going for.
Yeah.
And I think they just missed the mark.
Yeah.
Completely, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But I look at it more as a missed opportunity as opposed to the bomb that everybody else.
Sure. I tend to agree with you, but it also infuriates me how much talent was wasted. And space certainly was not the place.
I forgot that
where
all
Pluto
those
Nash.
people were in there.
Yeah.
Number 4,
Number 4,
which is from 2013.
2013.
And the second film that stars real-life father and son, Will and Jaden Smith, and that would be After Earth.
After Earth.
A film that was directed by M. Night Shyamalan.
Yes, it was.
And loosely based on an original story idea by Will Smith.
That's right.
About a father and son trip in the wilderness.
Yeah.
That was eventually reworked into a science fiction setting 1,000 years in the future.
Bless you.
Yeah. After Earth didn't work.
No, it
was
didn't.
a swing and a miss.
Yeah. And I think, you know, After Earth always makes me laugh because it's one of the greatest bait and switches in modern history, where you said it was about a father and son and their adventure together. And certainly the advertising said it was going to be a father and son adventure.
Yeah.
But if you watch the film, maybe a half hour in it, Will Smith is taken off the stage.
Pretty much.
And you realize that you're now watching a Jaden movie.
Yeah. Will Smith becomes basically a voice in his ear.
A voice in his ear, or he did all the work in one day, and then Jaden had a movie. And God bless Jaden, but he just could not carry the film. I actually really enjoyed the set design and the
The
costumes.
look of the movie
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, much like Pluto Nash, when you have someone, much like Pluto Nash with Eddie Murphy, when you have someone who is an A-list creator like Will Smith and M. Night Shyamalan, it looks good.
Yeah.
It looks good, but yeah, it was not. You know who else I really enjoyed in that film?
Who else?
And I said this when we reviewed it. My favorite Zoe Kravitz performance.
That's your favorite Zoe Kravitz performance?
Since then, I may have liked her better in Batman. The Batman.
Yeah. Because I like her in the
But
Batman.
before the Batman, that was my favorite Zoe Kravitz performance. I really liked her in that.
Okay. I don't remember her that much in it.
She
but,
played Jaden's older sister who had died.
Oh.
Remember, she only appeared in flashback.
Okay, yeah. I think I do remember that now. Okay.
But
all right.
okay, all right.
All right.
Space was not the place.
Space was not the place after Earth.
Yeah, after Earth.
Number 3.
Number 3.
This was a animated series that you reminded me of
Okay.
from 1979 to 1980
Okay.
that ran on as a segment on the classic Plastic Man comedy adventure show.
Oh boy, you it's a deep cut.
Rickety Rocket.
Rickety Rocket. Rickety Rocket.
Now,
Perhaps the most racist cartoon ever made.
well, I'm not going to go that far.
What's more racist than Rickety Rocket? Well, tell people who've never heard of Rickety Rocket,
And which
what
is everybody.
which is what Rickety Rocket was.
In the far future, 4 African American teenagers named Sunstroke, Splashdown, Cosmo, and Venus
What are 4 names that white people think that black people would have?
build a makeshift sentient talking robot. They
Out of? Because you're not really doing it justice. What do they build it out of?
it doesn't say here what they built it.
They built it out of junk.
Oh well, yes, because it was from a junkyard.
Yeah, all right. Don't leave that part out.
And from their junkyard at home, where they built this sentient talking rocket robot. They run the Far Out Detective Agency and solve mysteries that usually have them fighting suspects operating massive criminals in disguise as monsters. The rocket signature phrase was "Rickety Rocket blast off," as this rocket robot, which doubled as a jalopy that they would all ride in, was a robot rocket complete with eyes and huge lips.
Yeah.
Huge lips
Yeah.
as his fenders.
Yeah, you didn't mention the fact that it was set in the future and all the black people lived in a future ghetto.
Yeah, they did live in a future. Yes, they lived in the future. set in the
Because
future.
it was a junkyard, but it was a junkyard that did not look that different from the other parts of the future ghetto that all the black people lived in.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I forgot about that aspect of it. Because remember, you were reminding me. I had totally drew a blank on this.
Yeah.
Until you reminded me of it. It was a couple of years ago.
Yeah, Rickety Rocket is terrible.
Terrible. Oof. I'm glad I actually watched an episode of it on YouTube.
Sure.
Just to okay. The premise is horrible. Did they maybe get it over? No.
Yeah.
They didn't. It's
Is Casey Kasem involved in that somehow? Is he a voice?
not that I see the main voice.
Not because I think Casey Kasem is a racist.
Yeah.
I just like Casey Kasem just did all the cartoons during this period. That's all.
The voice of Sunstroke was by John Anthony Bailey. The voice of Splashdown was by Johnny Brown, famous of
Bookman.
Bookman.
Yeah,
from
Bookman. From
Good Times.
From Good Times. But Rickety Rocket's voice wasn't Casey Kasem.
Not that
It seems like that would have been Casey Kasem.
Not that I'm seeing here.
Okay. You dodged a bullet, Mr. Kasem.
I don't think Casey would have done that.
I mean, he did all the other cartoons.
Yeah, but he wouldn't do the voices. Oh, and it says here the Rocket was voiced by Al Fan.
Okay, I don't know who that is.
Yeah.
Okay, all
I
right.
see. I don't see. Casey would do human voices. I don't think he would have done the Rocket.
Isn't that him doing Scooby Doo
He doesn't do. Like
or
the dog.
Scrappy?
No.
Casey does Scooby or Scrappy.
He doesn't do. I don't think he does the dog.
Look up Casey Kasem voices.
All right, hold on. I don't think.
Oh, this is way more interesting than Rickety Rocket.
Okay, well we were. All
Well, I can do it.
Yeah,
All right, you keep going. I'll look up Casey Kasem voices.
well, now you got me.
No. We're doing the look. Look.
I'm looking now.
Casey Kasem cartoon voices. Look, it's actually a search.
Okay, but I don't think he did. I think he did a voice on Scooby Doo, but I don't think he did the voice of Scooby Doo.
Oh, yeah, right. So it says he voiced Shaggy.
Yeah.
He voiced 2 of the Autobots.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see.
He voiced Robin in the Super Friends.
Robin and Super Friends. Right. Did Robin and Super Friends. All right, so I guess Casey Kasem wouldn't have been involved.
All right. I mean, he wasn't.
He was.
He could have been.
I'm just pulling Casey Kasem into this.
That's disparaging the man's
I
memory.
I am. This is terrible. I'm sorry, Casey Kasem.
He knew better than that.
All right.
He knew better. He's like,
Yeah.
no, this one's not for me.
Right.
You know, he didn't answer that. He didn't answer the phone. Okay.
All right.
Can I move on to number 2?
Oh, here's something interesting. It says that he quit the Transformers because because Casey Kasem was Arab. I think he was I forget which country he comes, but he's Persian.
Like Armenian?
Armenian maybe. But he quit the Transformers because of its depiction of Arab Americans.
The cartoon or the movie?
The movie.
I didn't even know that he did
No,
the voices
no.
all the way to the movie.
All the way, yeah. Yeah. He voiced a couple of characters in the Transformers, the movie. 86's.
Oh, in 1986.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he quit the cartoon.
Okay, he
apparently,
quit the cartoon.
According to the LA Times.
Oh, wow.
Who did a story on Casey Kasem's cartoon voices. I'm sorry.
That's fine.
You do the best you can. And sometimes,
sometimes.
things go left and...
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Number 2.
Number 2.
Homeboys in Outer Space. Remember Homeboys in Outer Space, Vincent? Which centered around 2 astronauts, Tiberius Ty Walker and Morris Clay, played by Flex Alexander and Darryl Bell.
I know.
Who flew around the universe in a winged car nicknamed the Space Hoopty in the 23rd century.
Because it's just even in the far future, apparently black people only gonna have shitty stuff.
Of course.
Like, I love this conceit that you see.
We're still broke.
Right. It's like, it's the future. It's like a post-scarcity society.
Mm-hmm.
But our stuff is still shitty.
The duo's car, which was a cross between a lowrider and an 18-wheeler,
Because, of course.
was piloted by a talking female computer named Loquacia. That was in Homeboys in Outer Space, which ran from August of 1996 to May of 1997 on the UPN network.
I didn't even think it ran that long.
It might have been technically,
How many episodes?
You really want to make me look that up?
Okay, this is just as interesting as the Casey Kasem thing to me.
Let's see. Let's see how many episodes were there of Homeboys in Outer Space. Homeboys in Outer Space. It ran for 1 whole season, so that puts it at about 22 episodes. About. There you go. It ran for 21 episodes.
21 episodes of Homeboys from Outer Space.
Yeah, there you go.
So what do you think? You think maybe like was it maybe episode 8 where my man was like, I was on Different World?
Like this was my follow-up
Right,
to a different world.
Like how far into it do you think the two of them kind of sat in their room, in their dressing rooms, and realized how badly things have gone?
Well,
episode 8, maybe?
I honestly think that Flex was probably just happy to have a gig, to be quiet as kept.
Right.
And I never thought much.
And
of
Daryl
it.
Bell
Daryl Bell. I mean,
we need you on set, Mr. Bell. And he was just like, he's like sitting in his dressing room, and it says like Homeboys in Outer Space, and then it says Daryl Bell.
well, dude.
And like he just sits in the dressing room, and like he thinks about the fact that like he met Jesse Jackson and Lena Horne. And like Debbie Allen used to direct him.
Yep.
But
And
now he's doing Homeboys in Outer Space. And it's like episode 8. And you got 12 more scripts.
Yep.
Where you have to produce this.
I used to be bouncing off of Kadeem Hardison,
Yeah.
a trained actor.
We need you on set, Mr. Bell. And
Now I'm setting up Flex.
And he's just sitting in the dressing room. And they've called him twice now.
But to be fair, they've called him twice. They've knocked on the door. Mr. Bell.
We have your shots blocked out, Mr. Bell.
We're losing the light. Mr. Bell.
And he's just sitting quietly. He's like, I kissed Halle Berry on an episode of Different World.
Did he kiss Halle Berry on it?
Yeah. She's in there like a split second. She's like an extra. She's like one of the girls that he dates. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
And yet she escaped Homeboys from outer space.
Yeah.
That's a shame. Well, A Different World went off the air in 93.
Yeah.
Homeboys in Outer Space is 96.
Yes.
In those 3 years. Brother gotta eat.
The residuals weren't.
He wasn't like top of the bill.
So he's just sitting in the dressing room.
He just
sitting in the dressing room,
waiting for the phone to ring.
So he's just sitting in the dressing room. Oh no, he do it. When
the phone rang.
But I'm just saying he's on the set now. We need you on set, Mr. Bell.
You really think there was a set?
I mean, yeah. That was number 2.
That was number 2.
All right, what's number 1?
Number 1. And this is a movie that I always dare that I will pull.
Oh, for God's
for the mission, but I don't.
Now, have you seen it?
I have actually seen it, and the reason why I won't pull it is because I know it doesn't fit. It doesn't fit our preview because it's not a full-length film.
Right.
Primarily because it's not a full-length film. But
You just like saying the title.
I love the title.
I know you do.
I can't believe the title.
So go ahead. Number 1,
Number
of course,
1
would be
Space Ain't the Place. For Gay Niggers from Outer Space.
Gay Niggers from Outer Space.
A 1992 Danish English language. So it's English language.
Yes.
Science fiction short film produced by the performance artist Morten Lindberg. That is a parody of science fiction and blaxploitation genres. That's the other reason why I'm kind of ambivalent about like even its place on this list.
Sure.
Because it is straight up a parody.
Okay.
But I contend that as a parody, it is still poorly done.
It's a poorly done parody.
It's poorly done, and not so much just because of the poor taste of it, but just like the whole production of it.
Sure.
It's badly.
I've never seen
it. Done. You've never seen it?
I've never seen it.
You should watch it.
I mean, I probably should. It's brought you so much joy over the years. It makes you giggle every time it comes up. So.
It does.
I know.
And I finally fit it into Octavia April.
And you finally...
In the only appropriate way that we could do so.
Look, if we have talked about Rickety Rocket and Homeboys from Outer Space, then we definitely, yeah.
And the film, just so you know, follows a group of intergalactic homosexual black men from the planet Anus who discover the presence of female creatures on planet Earth. Using ray guns, they proceed to eliminate females one by one from Earth, eliciting gratitude from the previously oppressed male population. And then before leaving the planet, they leave behind a gay ambassador to educate the Earthlings about their new way of life.
Well, there you go.
That was the number 1 Space Ain't the Place. Gay Niggers from Outer Space.
Well, there you go.
That's my top 5.
That's your top 5.
What do you have to say about the top 5, Vincent?
That was crazy.
It is now time.
All right.
I see our chat is blowing up, but on our new monitor, the print is a little small, so I couldn't. Thank God I couldn't read it.
Right.
6 Degrees of D'Urville Martin, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh yeah.
I think it's playing, right?
That's the key. Why you would be surprised what a person can do with just a sense of touch and a sense of sound.
6 Degrees of D'Urville Martin, ladies and gentlemen, where Vincent will attempt to connect the actors that I present to him in 6 movies or less to that 1970s Afrofuturist.
So I'll say he's a one-man Afrofuturist.
He's a one-man Afrofuturist.
His mustache was science fiction.
Indeed. D'Urville Martin.
D'Urville Martin.
All right, Vincent.
All right.
Now, in keeping along with the theme of our movie that we're reviewing, Space is the Place, which stars Sun Ra.
Yes, it does.
These are 2 actors who are famous sons of other actors.
Oh, synonym games. No, homonym games. Homonym games.
All right. So number 1.
Number 1.
In 6 movies or less.
A famous son.
Connect D'Urville Martin. To Kiefer Sutherland.
Kiefer Sutherland.
Yes. The son of
Donald Sutherland. Absolutely.
The great Donald Sutherland.
Absolutely. Well, I'm going to connect him to Kiefer Sutherland because D'Urville Martin is in how am I going to get to him? Because I can get to him a couple of ways, but I want to get to him in an interesting way. So D'Urville Martin is in Hitman. No. D'Urville Martin is in Sheba Baby with Pam Grier. Pam Grier is in Hitman with Bernie Casey. Bernie Casey is in Quicksilver with Lawrence Fishburne.
Okay.
No. Bernie Casey, I'm sorry, is in Cornbread Earl and Me with Lawrence Fishburne, who's in
A very young Lawrence Fishburne.
who is in Quicksilver with Kevin Bacon, who is in A Few Good Men
With
Kiefer Sutherland.
Very good. Wow. I did not expect you to go that route.
Well, I was trying to get, every now and then I try to get Kevin Bacon in the mix.
Well, yes, because
right.
we did co-opt his game.
Right. So
It's the least we can do.
there you go.
Very good. Very good, Vincent.
Thank you.
That was the easy one.
That was the easy one. Kiefer Sutherland, son of Donald, is the easy one.
Yes.
As opposed to the more difficult one that would be.
Number 2. Peter Fonda.
Peter Fonda. Okay. Well, Peter Fonda, of course.
Do you know more than 2 movies he was in?
I mean, he's in oh my God, I just forgot. How I just forget the motorcycle movie?
If life's not hard, it's...
Oh, right. Right, because Peter Fonda is an Easy Rider with the other dude who's an Easy Rider who is, I'm looking right at him. Give me his name. Who?
Hippity.
Right. So Peter Fonda is an Easy Rider with Dennis Hopper, who is in Waterworld.
Oh, Shit. I know where you're going now.
with Kevin Costner.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Oh, you didn't even have to go to Kevin.
I know I don't, but who else is in Waterworld? The funny thing is the little girl is in Napoleon Dynamite. But I'll stick with Kevin Costner.
Kevin Costner is still
stick
cool.
with Kevin Costner, who is in where do I want to go with Kevin Costner?
Yeah, you got a bunch of places to go with
I got
Kevin.
a whole bunch of places I can go with Kevin.
Just got to remember your count.
Yeah. So who do I got?
Dennis Hopper.
Dennis Hopper,
Kevin Costner.
Kevin Costner. I mean, Kevin Costner is in
That might be too long.
Kevin Costner is in The Bodyguard with Whitney Houston.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, but
Whitney Houston
are you going to run out?
is in trying to think the fastest way.
I know, so you got to count it out.
Right.
Because I was trying to think that way.
Oh no, I can get right to 6. She's in The Preacher's Wife with Denzel, which is 4. He is, of course, in Mo Better Blues with Dick Anthony Williams, who's in 5 on the Black Hand Side with Derville Martin. So that's 6.
That gets you right at 6.
Yeah, it's right at 6.
Yeah, I wasn't sure how that was adding up.
Yeah.
But when you went to Waterworld, and this might have still been 6, I thought instead of Kevin Costner, you were going to go Lorenz Tate.
Lorenz Tate isn't in Waterworld.
I thought he is.
Lorenz Tate is in
No,
Postman.
the Postman. That's You're right. You're right.
You're getting your
Kevin Costner bombs.
badly maligned, but not as bad as everyone says they are, post-apocalyptic Kevin Costner movies.
mixed up.
It's only 2 in the category, but the funny thing is they have the exact same description.
Yeah, they do.
Like everyone talks real bad about them. They're not as bad as everyone says they are, and they're post-apocalyptic.
Waterworld is.
Waterworld is not as bad as the problem with Waterworld is that it was so expensive.
True.
That when it flopped,
It flopped hard.
It flopped so hard.
Yeah, but
it flopped so hard because it was so expensive because they were trying to, they had so much
practical effects.
Yeah, the practical effects and the salt water and the cameras.
Yeah.
But it's not. There are worse movies than Waterworld.
Okay, there are worse movies, but it's still a bad movie.
Yeah, but people bring up Waterworld like that's the worst thing,
Oh, because it was
Like Waterworld is pretty watchable.
okay.
Yeah.
I disagree.
All right. So there you go.
And the Postman, I think I sat through once, and I don't really.
It was kind of by the numbers.
I don't remember it.
It's kind of by the numbers. The book's better.
All right.
It's an interesting concept.
Okay.
All right.
Well, you made it.
There you go.
I did not think you would. I knew you were probably going to use Easy Rider, though.
Right. What else is Peter Fonda in that I would?
He was in. I just saw one that I'm pretty sure you saw. He was in Ocean's 12. No, that was a deleted scene. Excuse me. He was in. Did you see Yuli's Gold?
I did not.
He was in that. He was in Escape from L.A.
He was in Escape from L.A.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you saw that. And he was in The Cannonball Run.
What in the hell is Peter Fonda doing in The Cannonball Run?
Well, everybody else is in that movie.
Yeah, but he's like more of an actor. Like I know he's not
Is he really?
I mean, I know he's not the greatest actor, but it just seems
He's more of an enigma.
Yeah. What else is Dennis Hopper in? Is a better question.
Oh, Dennis Hopper, Speed.
He sure is in Speed.
And then he's in Speed, and then he's also in what's the Tarantino movie that he didn't direct?
True Romance?
Yeah, he's in True Romance.
Oh, he sure is.
Because the great scene with him and Christopher Walken.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Dennis Hopper did work.
Yeah.
Shoot.
And he went through that really interesting period in the 90s where he was like, I'm Dennis Hopper, so I'm just going to show up at places.
Well, it was his second coming.
Yeah.
Man. The Speed brought him really back out there.
Yeah.
You know, and God bless him, man.
God bless him.
He did work.
That was a good category, the Famous Sons.
All right.
All right.
Well, very good, Vincent.
Well, thank you, sir.
All right.
All right.
With that out of the way, ladies and gentlemen, let's turn ourselves to our review.
Here we go.
Of Space is the Place.
Yes.
But first, it's time for trailer talk.
Okay.
This is a part of the show that usually gets edited out of the actual audio podcast because we will be playing the trailer for the film.
That's right.
And I actually do have a piece of trailer talk for you, Vincent.
Okay, I'm listening. I'm
that
just
I
pulling
think
up stuff.
Our audience, who while not wholly, but there's a huge number in our audience that likes a lot of the same things that we like.
A lot of overlap.
May have an appreciation for the loss that the art and comic world suffered this year.
Oh, yeah.
Al Jaffe.
Yeah.
Passed away at the young age of 102 years old.
Yeah.
Now, if you don't know that name, ladies and gentlemen, if you're familiar with Mad Magazine, and if you remember historically on that magazine, the back cover, it was the inside back cover.
Yeah,
right?
that's right. The fold-in.
It was a fold-in. It would be one painted picture, and then you would fold it in, and it would fold into like the joke.
Right.
It would be a totally
it'd be
another
a riddle,
image.
and then yeah.
And Al Jaffe was, among other contributions to the inside of the Mad Magazine, he was the one who hand painted.
Yes, he did.
And wrote and
Yes,
created
he did.
all of those folders.
Yes,
over 500.
It's a pretty remarkable technical feat.
Yeah,
the way that he would do it, and like you said, one of the real last living giants of comics, of humor, of that kind of post World War II counterculture.
Yeah.
Like he was
right in there.
Like he really was right in there. And Al Jaffe always makes me laugh as a collector. Like that EC Comics, like that 50s comic collecting world is real rich from my blood. I just can't afford to collect those comics, but just knowing a little bit about that culture, it always makes me chuckle that Al Jaffe is part of the reason that collecting Mad Magazine is so expensive.
Yeah.
Because it's very difficult to find copies that haven't been folded up.
Yeah.
And collectors notoriously like our comics to be pristine. But Al Jaffe,
it's not going to find it without
right. It's hard to find copies of Mad Magazine that haven't been folded together.
Yeah, right. The front might look good, but turn to the back.
Right. Well, I don't know if you've ever seen any of the collectors in their natural environment looking. Like you look at them, they don't even look at the front.
No, because they flip.
Like they just start flipping. Flipping it over to see has it been bent, and it's pretty hilarious.
I know. That brought to mind though, because you probably, as much as we both love comic books in the culture, you are probably more of a collector than I. Do you have any Mad in your collection?
I do. I have just stuff from when I was a kid, buying it.
Okay.
And if I find copies,
so you still have the ones from when you were a kid?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. And if I find copies of superhero parodies, like if it's the Superman movies, I have a couple of those in the collection. I definitely have one or two from '89 from Batman.
Yeah.
But I'm not a Mad Magazine collector, and I mean I have the
a couple of their collections.
Right, a couple of the collections.
Right.
But the magazines themselves, not really. You know, well, again, it gets really expensive really quickly collecting Mad magazine.
I know.
So, you know, that ain't, you know, that's not my ministry.
Before, like Mad magazine, I never really had to collect Mad magazine in my house because my older brother, that was him.
Okay.
He would collect the Mad magazines. But when he's 7 years older than me, so when he got around to that age where he had no longer any room for Mad magazine and kind of like disposed of all of them, I still wasn't old enough to appreciate collecting the Mad magazine. So it's like, oh well, he threw away his comics, you know.
Right.
But I wish that I had them. He had them.
Yeah.
He bought them faithfully, man.
Yeah.
He loved magazine.
So yeah, it's a big loss.
It is huge loss. Huge loss. Al Jaffe, 102.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Bless him. God bless him, man. And 102. I think he only stopped working in 2019.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's insane.
Look, man, them old school dudes. Like Kirby would do like 5-6 pages a day.
I know. I'm to the end.
It's insane.
I know.
So, there you go.
There you go.
All right.
Oh, with that out of the way, let's get into our review.
All right. I guess just whenever I want to start.
Let's give it like a little pause. We're just going to give a pause for editing's sake, ladies and gentlemen. If you don't mind, if you just bear with us as we sit and talk amongst yourselves for about a count of 10.
Space is the Place, a 1974 Afrofuturist film. Sun Ra, the space-age prophet, shaman, philosopher, and avant-garde jazz keyboardist and bandleader, lands his spaceship in Oakland, having been presumed lost in space for a few years. With Black Power on the rise, Ra disembarks and proclaims himself the, quote, altered destiny. He holds a myth versus reality rap session with Black inner-city youth at a rec center, threatening to chain you up and take you with me like they did you in Africa if they resist his plea to go to outer space. He duels at cards with the Overseer, a satanic overlord with the fate of the Black race at stake. He wins the right to a world concert. Agents sent by the Overseer attempt to assassinate him, but he vanishes, rescues his people, and departs for space, escaping an exploding planet Earth. Directed by John Coney, written by Sun Ra and Joshua Smith, starring Sun Ra, and inspired by a course that Sun Ra taught at the University of California, Berkeley, entitled The Black Man in the Cosmos. Space is the Place was the choice of Lynn Webb. Lynn, how would you like to begin to discuss Space is the Place?
I thought I had seen this film.
Okay.
I had never seen this film.
Okay.
I have seen Sun Ra before. As we kind of alluded to a little bit last week, ladies and gentlemen, Sun Ra was a huge force in the world of experimental jazz and music. Got his start in Chicago. Then I think he moved down south, right? To like Alabama along that area where he spent a great deal of his career. Moved out to LA. But in his later part of his life, he spent quite a few years here in Philadelphia. And in the Germantown section of Philadelphia, which is where I grew up.
Right.
So I did have on occasion with no context whatsoever to come across Sun Ra and his Arkestra in full orchestrion wardrobe.
That is fantastic.
Just chilling in the park in Germantown. Playing music. Sometimes they be playing music. Sometimes they be playing chess. They just be there.
Hey, little brother, can you go and get us a soda?
Get yourself a hug.
I'll say, here's $2. Get some for yourself. I love it. I love it.
You can go get 10 hugs. I mean, dude, and it was a very surreal moment.
Yeah, I'm sure.
To come across this old man. His head wrap may not have been quite as, austere as it is in Space is the Place. Mm-hmm. It may not have gone up 5 stories high. Mm-hmm. But it was a headpiece.
Right.
And it was quite a sight.
I'm sure.
And here's the bad thing, though. When I would come across him, and we're talking about maybe like in the 80s. Mm-hmm. When I would come across him, he was decidedly an older gentleman. And when they would play music, the Arkestra, for the most part, was made of older guys.
Yeah.
I think they had cycled in them 1 or 2 younger guys, but it was mostly like his crew.
Right.
His life on his boys.
Right.
Ride or die. And when they would be playing their music, I'd be like, all right, these guys are, they're playing their music. But I just figured maybe somewhere along the way, they had forgotten how to play their music.
Right.
Because the music was not musical.
See, that's because that was your Western mind. Caged. See, that's what that was.
I tried to buy into that when I came to Space is the Place, because to me, I'm going to see Sun Ra in his prime. I'm here for it. Because while I've always known of Sun Ra and I've always known of his place in jazz, when I listen to jazz, where I listen to jazz, they don't play Sun Ra. Let me just put it that way.
Right.
When I listen to jazz, they're not playing Sun Ra.
Sure.
So this was going to be my opportunity to hear authentic primetime Sun Ra.
Sure.
And in Space in the Place, I was taken back to Germantown in the 80s.
And you realized that they hadn't missed the beat.
They had not missed.
Like you were getting unfiltered. Arkestra.
Those were the keys that you meant to play.
Yeah, that's right. Mm-hmm.
And then, mind you, I'm only talking about the music. Because that was the first thing that I knew of them.
Sure.
When I'm looking at Sun Ra and I'm looking at pictures of him, I'm thinking, this is what gave birth to George Clinton.
Sure.
This is what gave birth to a degree, Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Look.
Right? The whole aesthetics, right?
Ground zero.
So I'm thinking there's something, to hear primordial from them, which I can hear where George and Earth, Wind, and Fire came from. But no, musically, I don't feel that.
Okay.
I don't hear that when I come to this film. So then I'm left with, then let me get into this man, Sun Ra, who famously, that is his name. That is the name. That is the identity that he took on for himself. And in honoring that, I won't give his what his birth name was. He was Sun Ra. He lived as Sun Ra.
Yes, he did.
He saw himself as Sun Ra. And he saw himself as Sun Ra, the being you see in Space is the Place.
Oh, yeah.
Not just like, hey, I'm a brother named Sun Ra.
Right.
No, he is this otherworldly figure named Sun Ra who has these thoughts and ideas and theories, which when you listen to them are basically the building blocks of Afrofuturism about our place in the future, being able to claim our identity and our space in the future and in space, right? That is the building blocks of Afrofuturism as we know it. And it all is built on the philosophies, on the thinkings and words and thoughts of Sun Ra. that is all baked into this movie, right? Which is basically a tryst on those thoughts, right? With a narrative loosely stitched together, to kind of have it play out. With him being Sun Ra versus the overseer. For a battle for the black spirit on Earth, because he wants to transport us to someplace else, to be of a higher mind. Right? Where the overseer wants to entrap us and I think it's very interesting that the overseer wears the trappings of almost like some evangelist, you might see. And the whole.
Well, the funny thing is, you say evangelist. I was thinking pimp.
Well, I was going to say,
but we might be saying the same thing,
because it's the same thing.
Yes,
it's the same thing, because it's the evangelist / pimp.
Yes,
because that is definitely his aesthetic for the most part. He is a pimp, but he comes off with this evangel like I'm here for the community,
right? And
the community, y'all need women,
right?
And drugs,
right?
Y'all need to just like slow it down,
right?
You know what I mean? And then he's got this partner, Jimmy, who represents us, black people who maybe want more for our people,
right,
but are blinded by the lights of showbiz,
right,
and taken in by that glitz and glamour,
right,
so that they just settle for the okie doke, right. And Sun Ra is trying to lift us from that by first appealing to the youth. He appears to the youth, and then by appearing to the women in this film, all while fighting the overseer and trying to stay 2 steps ahead of the man, because the common enemy of black man, no matter from which sect you are, is the man.
The man.
So Sun Ra is trying to stay 2 steps ahead of him. And this is all literally like stitched together around some concert footage of the Arkestra performing in California. There's talk about, when he appears to the youth, they are a little disparaging of Sun Ra, because like, man, you walking around dressed up in these weird clothes, and he's got these shoes that are like, I've never seen shoes like this, but he's got a cape that flows all the time, and I loved it. But like, you coming around here talking with all that stuff, man, what are you talking about? And why should we believe you?
That's right.
Which was in 1974 common for youth at that time. So you understood that question. I appreciated that, because Sun Ra is not a young man. So it makes sense that they would question this old man that's walking around in a cape and a headpiece with people walking around with huge golden eagles adorning their bodies. So that made sense. I appreciated that. And then he opens up the outer space employment agency.
Yes, he does.
to look for the right type of black people.
He's going to give black people space jobs.
He's going to give us jobs in space,
yes,
ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, he is.
That's the one thing Homeboys couldn't give us. He was giving us...
We not going to bring the Homeboys into this.
We're not going to get...
This is...
Right. Because this is where...
Space is the place.
It is the place. Right. It is the place. Right. And space is the place for all of these teachings, all of these theories of Sun Ra. And there was a part of me that wanted to lock on, because I understood what he was going for. But in the disjointedness of the narrative, which kind of bounces here and there, almost like a series of skits. To a degree. And then, with all due respect to Sun Ra, he's outside of his garb, he's not much of a presence Like he doesn't, like when he is speaking his truths, he's not selling his truths. It is almost like, you know, and admittedly he's not an actor.
Right.
So I understand that he's saying
right.
these lines, but while he's not an actor, he is still a performer. You would think it would be at least be able to be performative. He's not even performative in the moments in which he is performing his music. So because of that, I found it hard to connect with this, which I know from a cultural standpoint is a film that I should be heralding. I should be in lockstep with this, right?
You don't have to like everything.
But I just found myself like, I found it left me wanting, wanting to connect, and it just didn't make me make the leap.
Okay, all right, that's fair. I love every single thing about this film. This film is everything to me. In the broadest sense, it is such a 70s film.
Yeah.
Like just in the costuming and the settings and one of the aspects that I found most ironic is that they try and make this split between the mundane world and the spiritual / space world.
Yeah.
Where it's almost like a riff of the Seventh Seal, where he's playing a game against this devil overseer, and then you see the technology in his spaceships. But because we're watching this in modern times, so much of the 70s setting it has a bit of the surreal to it. Like you mentioned, there are these two teenagers that are kind of these recurring characters, but they're wearing these kind of rolled up jeans and their afros, and the dude has a kerchief on, and at one point you see someone who has one of those wonderful old red, black, and green picks.
Yeah.
So I just love all of the 70s parts of it. We talked about this a bit last week with Conquest of the Planet of the Apes, and you and I have talked about this periodically when we reference other science fiction properties from the 70s. I'm a complete sucker for retrofuturism.
Yes.
From the 70s. Depictions of space, depictions of the future from the 70s. I loved his spaceship. I love the design of his spaceship.
The design of his spaceship is cool.
This sort of bulbous, kind of almost mushroom shape. I love the very first scene they show the planet, where presumably he's going to take black people, and it's just,
that does have a cool set.
Like psychedelic, and kaleidoscope. It's almost like someone took Willy Wonka's chocolate factory, but made it sexy. If that, like, you know, just the curvature of it, the costume. I just loved every science fiction aspect of it. And to your point about this being fundamental when we talk about Afrofuturism, there are so many parts of this that, well, first of all, I love the very specifically 70s details where you talked about the man who was that, but you know, they're played by two white men. But let's be very specific. These are two NASA scientists.
That's true.
Which is such a 70s thing.
Yeah, the space race.
The space race. And I think the last time we talked about this was when we were discussing the, what was the name of the documentary that Questlove made?
Summer of Soul.
We talked about Summer of Soul, which coincided with the space launch, and there's footage of black people booing it, basically.
Yeah.
But this was something that you saw in the 70s, where this sentiment that we're spending all this money, sending people into outer space, and black people are catching hell right here.
Yeah.
So, you know, whether you're talking about Gil Scott-Heron and Whitey on the Moon, or Marvin Gaye with with Inner City Blues, where he references it. Like, I love that. And then I love the other part where at one point Sun Ra basically says they're already going to space a lot. Where it was this very 70s sentiment that white people have messed up the planet. Mm-hmm. And now they're going to leave everybody here and go out into space. But just this whole philosophy of, as you said, black people's existence is bigger than what they're telling us. So the costumes are here you go, more 70s stuff. You get a little sprinkle of the ancient astronaut stuff, which I love from the 70s because they're dressed like pharaohs, and at one point there's a flashback to what I presume was a pyramid because there's a mummy. Yeah. So you can infer that and then they say that he's a time traveler. So then you get that part of it. The music, look.
You're a jazz man.
Well, here's the thing, though. Part of the cheat code of me and you getting along, you kind of remind me of my dad. My dad hated free jazz. Like, this is just free jazz.
I know.
Like, this is, Sun Ra. Like, this is, Alice Coltrane and something like that. Just sort of, it's a vibe. And like you said, this don't sound like my dad would get so worked up about John Coltrane. Where the hell is the melody? What is this? What is this? Is this a song? It's just them tooting and blowing on horns. Can they play the instruments? But it's a vibe. Yeah. And look.
There's a vibe to John Coltrane.
Look. I think this is what I will grant you with Sun Ra, where you and I agree. I very rarely listen to Sun Ra.
Right.
Like, if I'm doing Sun Ra, I really do need the multimedia. Like, I need to see them in the costumes. Like the sister singing Spaces the Place, and she's got the big sunglasses on, and they're wearing the costumes, and I'm all in. Like, I am, so between the jazz, between the 70s, between the science fiction, like, I loved every single solitary aspect of this movie.
Okay.
Like loved it.
Okay.
It went off. I almost put it right back on again.
Really? You liked it that much?
I love Spaces the Place.
Wow.
I love Spaces the Place.
Wow.
And I'm not necessarily contradicting anything you just said.
No, you're not.
So,
I mean, because I do appreciate the one thing you did mention. I do appreciate in real time the commentary that this movie has on the black films that are prevalent at that time in 1974, because we're right in the middle of blaxploitation.
That's right.
Right. So I did see that commentary right there. I was like, okay, I like that.
Right, because so much of the mundane world and the world that the overseer is trying to keep black people in is represented by pimps. Mm-hmm. Like, you have all of these scenes of pimps, and from the making of the film, one of the filmmakers apparently was really interested in this pimp aesthetic, and he kind of put it together. And when you read about the making of the film, they talk about basically what you said, how they had to stitch together this narrative. Yeah. Like, it really was almost these loose vignettes that they kind of cut together into this film. And that commentary is there where Sun Ra is saying, we are more than this.
Yeah, and he does say that, and I want to think, because this is like Sun Ra, he was a name. This gets made because of him.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
So I want to think that he had a say in the end result. Mm-hmm. A lot of that stitching really felt well, I'm just gonna say it felt very gratuitous. Like I didn't like that there were not two scenes of women getting almost completely naked. One of them didn't get completely naked.
Yeah.
And then the most violent scene in this movie is violence against women, and it's kind of rough.
It is rough, but unlike other films, it's not presented as sexy.
No,
like this really is shown as an example of what the overseer represents, and you know they do like Sun Ra uses his space blackness to heal them, and transports the sister away. The white woman got to stay. White people don't get to go to space.
I thought he did transport one of the white girls.
I thought she was Asian.
Oh, you're right. That was
Right.
Asian.
Remember, he leaves the white woman
that's right.
with Faye, and he takes Faye's black part.
Right.
Leaves the white part.
That's right.
And then the white part walks off with the white prostitute.
Sunrise does heal them, as you say, by transporting them away to take them to away from
With his space jazz.
with his space composition. But I still say that scene took me out of the movie. I know what they were trying to do, and let's put it this way. It probably lasted 30, 45 seconds too long.
I think that's fair.
Let's put it that way.
Look, man, look. What's my man's name? Is it Lawrence Kasdan that edited Empire?
He's a director.
Oh, he directed. What's the sister's name? The woman's name? Anyway, this thing's not gonna get an Oscar for editing.
Okay.
Like this is not one of the great of the great constructed products. But it really, so you saying the scene went on 30 seconds longer than it should have. Absolutely. I actually don't think there's a moment towards the end where it's 45 seconds of Sun Ra walking from the rehearsal stage to the front door of the building.
Yeah.
And I said, they probably shouldn't let Sun Ra walk.
Yeah, it's not
like he actually needs the Arkestra with him,
or at least have his cape, because he didn't have the
and he didn't have the head.
It was just him,
right?
With his chainmail hat.
But I think it's a vibe, and I think anytime you use that as a defense of some art, that it's a vibe. It is highly subjective. So like either you buy into the vibe or you don't.
Yeah. I
100% buy into the vibe.
You didn't. I didn't buy into the vibe. That being said, I would recommend this movie though, because one, I recognize its place in history. I also recognize that I know people. I am friends with people who I know would lock in with this vibe. They would be one-on-one. They would love it.
Look, if you are watching the Micheaux Mission and you enjoy black science fiction and you enjoy Afrofuturism, understand this is DNA. This is the DNA right here. Like you can you mentioned a couple of them. If you like this aspect of Parliament Funkadelic, if you like this aspect of Earth, Wind, and Fire, the spirituality, the costumes, again, the multimedia part of it, I see Octavia Butler in here. Ta-Nehisi Coates used this as part of his research when he wrote his already legendary run of Black Panther, which frankly so much of the film pulled from, as far as I know we talk about Christopher Priest and everything he brought to Black Panther, but as far as the nitty gritty nuts and bolts Afrofuturism the images of it in Black Panther, the film, a lot of that is directly from Coates' run, which you see in this.
Gotcha.
So, like, I'm not even recommending this. Like, I'm saying, like, you have to watch it. Like, you have to watch Spaces. If you like Afrofuturism, if you like, look, oh, I like this stuff. Like, if you like this, you gotta watch this. Like, you gotta take the hour and 25 minutes and watch it. And like you said, you know, people who, I think a lot of people can and have locked onto this and said, this is the place. Space is indeed the place.
Space
in this.
is indeed the place. I thought that I noticed somewhere, let me just check. Was there like a sequel made to this? Like Space is Still the Place or something like that?
Someone made an album.
Oh, okay.
That was inspired by this. And
yeah, the Bright Light Social Hour.
Right, and you know there are two different cuts of this film.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I have to say, I don't know where you watched it. You know, I'm going to say it, and you know I don't like doing this. But I saw this on HBO Max.
That's where I saw it.
This is the most pristine print I've ever seen of it.
Well, because it had
like
been...
It looks like it's been remastered.
It had been remastered back in the 2000s.
Yeah. So it's absolutely beautiful.
It had been remastered and released with the shortened 64-minute cut. So, yeah.
Now, in full disclosure also about the vibe, this is probably the first time I've seen it, and I hadn't had a little sip in me first. Because this is very much get you a little sip and sit back and turn on, or whatever it is that you indulge. You know.
There you go.
You turn on Spaces the Place. Oh, dude. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I know at least twice during the pandemic, this was a nice little evening.
Really?
Oh, I love Spaces the Place.
Wow. I don't think I could have spent a pandemic night with this.
Oh, I love Spaces.
Maybe if I had some libations.
Oh,
perhaps.
everybody is asleep. Everybody's, and you know, you just put on Spaces the Place.
Wow. I think I would find something else before I might watch Rickety Rocket.
Yeah.
Before I watch Spaces the Place. Matter of fact, I would watch Rickety Rocket. Just for the cartoon history of it.
I strongly disagree with that.
Don't let us be your judge, ladies and gentlemen. Check out.
I mean, I guess we did it though. I guess we did it.
Yeah, you said it.
You know, I like that. Would you recommend Spaces the Place, man?
You just said we did it.
I know, but I like to, you know, I like.
You got
to
an
have
OCD about that? I just locked on. I did.
Everything in its right place.
Okay, Vince, go ahead.
First time I heard that Radiohead song, I said, "Oh, these dudes, they get it." Everything in its right place.
They see me.
I would strongly recommend Spaces the Place.
All right.
All right.
Check it out, ladies and gentlemen. As you've heard, it's available on a streaming service near you.
And definitely look for the remastered cut. Because, you know, I've seen it, you know, you see it in like...
as far as like if you want to purchase it?
No. I mean to watch. Like,
well, that's
like,
what's on.
right.
That's what's streaming.
Right, okay. Because I've seen it in like film festivals and stuff.
Yeah.
And it was like the kind of grainy...
No.
Yeah, so-
The streaming is the remaster.
Yeah, it's a beautiful print.
Yeah,
it really is. So
this will be the best that it ever looks. Space is the place.
Space is the place.
All right. Before we tell you what we're going to be watching next week here on the Micheaux Mission, I invite you all to like us. Like the Micheaux Mission website, MicheauxMission.com. 2 men, 1 podcast. Every black film ever made, where you can hit swag and check out all of the cool designs that we have available for your buying pleasure by way of our good friends at T Public, including our 6 Degrees of Derville collection. And we've got a top 5 collection that's coming very soon. I just haven't finished the designs. Also, you can like and follow us on the social media of your choice, whether it be Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter, at Micheaux Mission. Subscribe to the Micheaux Mission on YouTube at Micheaux Mission. Become a subscriber. Never miss a show, so you can get advanced notices of our show, and you can see some of the shorts that we have out there. We recently made a short of the top 5 Prince song-inspired movie pitches that we did with Tanya Pendleton. That was a whole lot of fun. Mm-hmm. That was a great time. And we're going to get some 6 Degree Dervell shorts up there. Well, we're going to have a ball. We've got stuff coming. So subscribe on YouTube to the Micheaux Mission, which is a proud member of The Podglomerate. ThePodglomerate.com. They made podcasts work. And don't forget that the Micheaux Mission is filmed at the Video Content Factory, Philadelphia's premier video podcast palace. Check us out here in Manayunk, or go to thevideocontentfactory.com for more information on how you can be down with Terry and Dylan, who are the flyest producers in the world. They're back. All right.
We have to do some real-time editing. You can put this at the beginning. We'd also like to thank Reddit.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Reddit, and for hosting us for an AMA and an Ask Me Anything segment that went really well.
That was a lot of fun.
Under their subreddit, their movie subreddit.
Yeah.
Still kind of moving along.
It is still moving along. People still asking us questions. But that was cool, because that was the first time we had ever did
It's the
anything
first
already.
time we ever did it, and everyone was really great. We got some great questions, great conversation.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun.
So as well as the black guy who tips.
Yeah.
Reddit was a good time.
Most definitely. And don't forget to check out the Class of 1989, ladies and gentlemen, our 6-part miniseries dedicated to 6 films that came out in 1989 that changed the industry and a culture forever. You can find the Class of 1989 wherever you find podcasts. Next week, here on the Micheaux Mission, it's Vincent's selection.
Yes, it is.
And I have to agree. I think he's selected quite an interesting one. Because, ladies and gentlemen, before Will Smith and Jaden Smith rocketed off After Earth, Will Smith found himself alone on a planet. He was just an Omega man, if you will. But if you ask him, he would say, I am legend. Next week, here on the Micheaux Mission for Octavia April.
Octavia April, I am legend.
Yes.
Yes.
Can't wait. I haven't seen that in a movie in a long time.
Yeah, one of my favorites.
Is that one of you go to?
Well,
Space It as a Place and I Am Legend
well,
double feature?
I'm a big fan of this story.
That's right, because you like the Omega Man.
I like the Vincent Price version.
There was a Vincent Price version?
This is the 3rd remake of it.
What's the Vincent Price version?
It's actually called I Am Legend. No. It might be called The Last Man on Earth.
Really?
But yeah, that's the first adaptation of
Well, now I have to see The Last Man on Earth, and I know I've actually never made it through Omega Man, so I'm going to watch Omega Man before I watch I Am Legend.
Yeah, it's Vincent Price. Let me see if it was actually.
It's got to be like
Yes, it's called The Last Man on Earth.
50-something?
1964.
Oh, 64. Wow, and then they remake it as the Omega Man because that's 70s. It's not even that long after.
Look, this is not quite my Planet of the Apes bag, but I have a little I Am Legend bag. I love I Am Legend.
The story.
In all of them.
All of them. Okay, well, I will take them all in.
So, right, The Last Man on Earth, Omega Man, and
I
now
Am Legend. Okay.
All right.
All right, but we're only going to... All you have to do is watch I Am Legend.
Right. There's no homework.
There's no homework. I get the homework. All right. Until then, he's Vince, I'm Len, and in parting we say...
We'll see you when it's time to meet again.
Look, Donna, no seam.